Hello everyone, and thanks for tuning in. We are currently at 351 subscribers. I appreciate y'all support. As I stated in my previous video, once I reach 500 subscribers, I will be doing a giveaway. Again, thank you all for the support. Also, please like, share, comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications as it does help my channel. Hello everyone, it's Straight to the Point Tech. I'm back again with a new video. And for today's video, we are going to be talking about the last two NPU driver updates that occurred for the month of August for the MSI Claw 8 AI Plus. Some drastic changes have happened, so I definitely want to keep you all in the loop of what changes were made, etc., performance changes. So definitely, without further ado, let's get straight to it. All right, so for the month of August, So far this month, there were two NPU driver updates available. So there was one on the 18th, and then there was one actually yesterday. So combined so far, let's go over the one that occurred on August 18th, right? So basically, the one that occurred on August 18th, the driver delivered, performance increases amongst multiple games up to at least 5%. This was according to Google 3D and Reddit. So some users have stated that at 1080p resolution in games like Cyberpunk and Black Myth Wukong, they've seen an improvement in the FPS department, but at least 5%. And then also basically the UI is supposed to be more smoother and intuitive, and I'm assuming that's within the MSI Center. So that's good news because it tends to be a bit sluggish at times, but I feel like MSI and Intel are still kind of perfecting the UI. And then also there's been a power management efficiency update as well. So this device really doesn't have any thermal issues from what I've experienced. Even if I'm running settings at high and at the max TDP, I mean, it still has great power efficiency overall, but they continue to make it that much better. So there's an improvement in that department. And then there's also a new shared GPU memory override feature, which is basically you can override control for compatible Core Ultra Series 1 and 2 platforms, which allows better management of system allocation, right? So in other words, it gives the users more control over their iGPU system memory, right? So basically, in essence, what that basically means is that the device knows where to allocate the memory based upon what you're doing on your device and how you're using it. So that's always a good thing. Like that's amazing. I applaud Intel and MSI for working together, in that regard. And then there is a couple of more enhancements that occurred. So this is the one that happened yesterday, or today. I think it was today. Wee hours this morning. But anyways, so this enhancement basically, brings on better support for Battlefield 6. Mafia, the Old Country, and also this is going to give better performance for Doom the Dark Ages running on Wukong API, right? So, frame pacing has improved as far as optimizations go, especially in lower power modes. And then also there was another power efficiency improvement specifically for the Intel Core Ultra series. So not only like this device, but probably multiple devices that use the same chipset. And then also compatibility and stability improvement. So this was for basically the Intel Arc B series, the A series, the Intel Iris Xe graphics series, and the Core Ultra processors with built-in Arc graphics. So it's this and many other devices that have the similar CPU and GPU chipsets. And what this means to me overall is that Intel is just focusing, heavily on power efficiency and performance optimizations. Basically, for their newer processors architecture, the memory override feature, and particularly from what I'm understanding, it seems like, they really are trying to hone in perfecting the device, specifically performance wise, especially going against the AMD variant, just to show them hey, we hold weight in the handheld world now, and we're going to continue punching and punching and punching until we cannot no more. And it's noteworthy, because really it gives us users more control over our iGPU's performance. And I think that's phenomenal that Intel is really trying their best to be efficient at making this device just number one. They're really going hard, and again, I have to applaud them for that and commend them for that. So what I want to do is basically I want to test a few games and show you guys what kind of performance I am getting. So what I'll do is I'll test out Cyberpunk 2077 again. We'll test out Black Myth Wukong again, and we will also test Spider-Man this time, and we'll test Silent Hill, because I really think it's important that you all see what kind of power this device has, especially with the updates that Intel continues to push. So it may not be in a specific order that I said, but stay tuned. And yeah, let's just take a look and see what kind of performance improvements we're getting. I'll probably test 900p, 1080p, and 1200, even 800p. But yeah, let's just test it out and see what's going on. All right, everyone. So we're starting off with Black Myth Wukong. So currently, I'm going to show you my settings at the moment here. So in Black Myth Wukong, I currently have the display set to 800 progressive, which it looks phenomenal. Even with the LCD display on this device, it still looks good. But currently, I have it set to 800p. Now, I do have VSync on. That's just my preference because I would like a locked frame rate. But, it's going to fluctuate here and there for some reason. But yeah, anyways, I have VSync on it. That's just for me, but I'm going to turn it off in a second just to show you what it's like. And then we'll go to my graphics settings. So currently, I have super resolution set to 60. And then, I have the super resolution sampling set to XeSS. I don't want to forget that. I have frame generation set to, I don't know what this is. With the most recent update, I don't know why this language changed. I do have the game set to English, but the patch that came out a couple of months ago, it just changed this. I don't know exactly what this is, but anyways, so I want to just show you. So if I go to XeSS, this is like the first option. So I'm assuming this is what you want here. I don't know how to read that. I have to translate it later on. No ray tracing. I have ray tracing off. And then I have all the rest of the presets set to low. So let's just take a look and see what kind of frames per second we're getting. All right, so if you take a look in the middle, you can look at the FPS counter, and you can see that I am getting 70 FPS, 65. So the FPS is going up and down, but as you can see here, still looks good. No input lag, no issues with frame stuttering or anything. The game is flowing properly. Now, this is at 800p, and it still looks good. Like, I've just never, ever imagined, a handheld device would be able to be on par with, a gaming PC to a certain extent. Not fully, but to an extent. I mean, the game just looks really good at 800p. I mean, in my honest opinion, I don't see any reason playing at a higher resolution than 800p because it just looks so good. It's not blurry. There's no visual issues. And another thing is XeSS looks way better than FSR. I just want you all to know that FSR tends to be a little bit blurrier, but XeSS is really nice looking. I mean, it's very, very, very very attractive scaling, but it looks good in conjunction with frame generation. Like I said, pay attention in the middle of the top middle of the screen, and the far left is my FPS counter. Definitely getting 70 plus frames per second. No issues. Now, I do want you guys to keep in mind that this will vary and fluctuate depending upon what games, what levels, excuse me, that you're playing in Black Myth Wukong. Some of the more detailed levels with more going on, FPS will drop maybe below 60, like 55, but regardless, you're still going to have a great experience. But it still looks good. And then next, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and take a look at the game at 900p and what kind of performance we'll be getting. All right, so I have it set to 900p. So as you all can see, still getting about 60 something frames per second, almost 70. Game still looks phenomenal. I'm just extremely impressed, you know, with Intel just constantly updating the drivers on this device, and, you know, performance improvements. It's just really mind blowing that, you know, again, this device is it's amazing, to say the least. Sometimes I'm lost for words. Like, this is my favorite handheld. So again, we're at 900p, same settings, same frame generation settings. Nothing changed, just the resolution. Now you can see, you know, little frame dips, but it still hasn't dropped below 60 frames per second. Okay, there we go, 57, 60, 50, 60. I mean, you know, it's gonna go back and forth, but for the most part, it's stable and the game is running flawlessly. So this is 900p. And just looks really good. Like, I'm so shocked, having so much fun with this device. So what I'll do next is, lastly, we'll go up to 1080p and 1200p. Yeah, so as you can see, this is 900p. I'll show you all my settings. So if I go to settings and then I go to display, as you can see here, it's set to 900 progressive. If you zoom in, you can see that. And we're still getting great performance. You know, like I said, you will experience some dips here and there, but for the most part, it is consistent across the board. I'm just extremely impressed, again, with Intel and them constantly just keeping the drivers updated. Just so happy with the work that they've put in thus far on this device. But as you can see here, it dropped below 60, went to 58. But for the most part, it's gonna be hitting that 60, 65, 70 frames per second mark. So you don't have to expect, you know, drastic drops in performance. Maybe during boss fights, but again, it just depends on what's going on. But for the most part, I'm extremely impressed. It just looks so good. And then, you know, what I'll do after this is we'll go ahead and test 1200p, and then we'll go from there and we'll head on to the next game. So let's take a look at 1200p. All right, so we have the device set to 1200p, and looks like we're getting 60 frames per second. Now 1200p is a little harder to run, so you know, we may get some dips in frames. Some of the frames may drop, you know, maybe to about 50, 40, 49, or fluctuate between, you know, 49 and 60 FPS. But still, great performance across the board. Not having any issues, no input lag, no stutter, no visual issues. Still looks good. I'm just so happy and impressed with this device. I can't say it enough. But yeah, y'all, there you have it. So Black Myth Wukong looks really good. We tested the performance again with XESS, and we have frame generation on, you know, averaging about, you know, 60, 65 frames per second with 800p, 900p, and 1200p. So yeah, what we'll do is we'll head on to the next game. So the next game we'll be testing out is Cyberpunk 2077. All right, so I've got Cyberpunk 2077 loaded up now. So I want to show you all my presets. So currently I have the preset set to low. I have the resolution scaling set to Intel XESS Super Resolution 2.0. I have the Intel XESS Super Resolution scaling set to auto at the moment. I kind of switch between auto and balanced, but we can do auto for, you know, right now. And then I have Intel XES Super Resolution 2.0 sharpness set to 0.50. We're going to set frame generation on to Intel XESS frame generation, of course. We're going to keep ray tracing off, and then crowd density set to low. We'll leave field of view alone, and we'll turn everything else off as far as film grain, chromatic aberration, depth of field off, lens flare. We can turn this off. Keep motion blur off. We'll keep contact shadows off, off, and then we'll have everything else set to low. So we'll turn the cascaded shadows to low. We'll turn the cascaded shadow resolution to low, low, or off. So we'll set volumetric cloud quality to off, low, 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 low. Set color precision to medium, and everything else is just set to low. So we'll go ahead and apply that. Just go here, all the way down. We'll apply that, and then we'll take a look and see what kind of performance we get. I forgot to mention previously that I have the resolution set to 800 progressive. So yeah, but if you take a look at the frames per second counter, so look in the top middle of the screen and then look at FPS. As you can see, I'm getting about 84 frames per second. The game is running good, no input lag issues, no none of that. So I just want you all to realize the power of this device. And even, you know, though I have ray tracing set to low, I have path tracing set to low, I pretty much have everything set to low, this game still looks good. So I just want you all to have a realistic approach about this device. It is a iGPU in here. There isn't a dedicated GPU in here, but I'm still getting solid performance thanks to Intel and these latest graphics drivers updates. The game looks good. Visually still looks stunning. So yeah, I just wanted you all to just, you know, see what, you know, changes have been made with the recent driver updates. So that 5% increase in FPS makes all the difference. Really, what it all boils down to is consistency, right? You want consistency when it comes to FPS. To me, FPS is the most important thing. So if that's something that you prioritize, then, I mean, it gets no better than this. All right, so now what we will do is we can go up to a higher resolution. So what we'll do is we'll go to the settings menu of the game, and let's just go to video. And let's see what kind of performance we get. Let's see at 1280 by, let's try 1280 by 960, right? Let's just see what we get here. So we'll go ahead and go down and save that. All right, so if you look in the FPS corner in the top left, you'll see that I'm still getting about 60, 70 frames per second at a higher resolution. So ladies and gents, this is incredible. This is good news. I prefer 800p because of the stability in FPS, but I mean, still we're getting about 60, 59, 60. So it'll probably fluctuate anywhere from 59 to 70 FPS. But again, low settings on a game like Cyberpunk 2077 on handhelds to medium is really like the sweet spot. Trying to play everything on high with ray tracing enabled, it's not going to look good. You're going to get below 30 frames per second. So, you know, just have a realistic approach. But yeah, so upon testing this game multiple times with different updates, I always recommend 800p to 960p. Don't go above that, and keep the settings, you know, low as possible. I mean, as far as textures go, you may be able to enable textures at a higher quality, maybe the medium, but please don't count on high or ultra because you will run into performance issues. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and text the next game, and that will be Spider-Man. So let's take a look at Spider-Man next. All right, everyone, so here I have Marvel Ultimate Spider-Man. So let's go down to display and graphics and take a look at my settings, right? So currently I have the display set to 1920 by 1200, window mode full screen, aspect ratio on auto. We'll turn VSync off because we don't need that. And then I also have upscaling set to off. We currently have the upscaling method as AMD FSR3. Let's change that to XeSS. All right, and then we'll leave everything else as is. So we'll go ahead and hit the right trigger, apply changes. All right, and we are all set. All right, continue. All right, so just let's go load up the game and see what kind of performance we're getting. Let's take a look here. All right, y'all, so I currently have Marvel Ultimate Spider-Man set up here and loaded. So let's take a look at my settings. So currently I have window mode set to full screen. Now I have the resolution set to 1920 by 1200. Not really optimal, especially for this game. So we'll scale it down to 1920 by 1080. So let's just check out 1080p. We have VSync set to off. Then we have upscaling frame generation off. So we want to set that to AMD FSR 3 frame generation, and we'll set our upscaling method to XeSS, and then that is it. So we'll hit the right trigger, we'll let it take a second to do its thing, we'll hit continue, and then let's take a look at what kind of performance we get here. All right, so if you all pay attention in the frames per second counter, currently getting about 60 frames per second. Game looks good so far, no problems, no hiccups. Now, it may dip occasionally below 60, maybe might hit 59, 54 frames per second, whatever the case may be. But we're still getting solid performance right now at 1080p. With this game, in the beginning, when this device first came out, I'm not going to say this game ran rough, but it did take a couple of driver updates and patches in order for this game to, really start running well. So now I feel like it's, optimized to great potential. I feel like it's going to only get better as time progresses with these driver updates. But yeah, stable performance so far at 1080p. I recommend, again, that you always enable frame generation to get the best performance as far as frames per second. Now, it will function and look good properly without frame generation on, but just keep the visual fidelity set to, anywhere from 900p to 800p. That way you get good performance, unless, you prefer to play, at 40 frames per second locked. And this is where you want to enable FreeSync, but totally up to you preference-wise. But yeah, game looks good, so far. Not bad. Great performance, great frames per second. So next what we'll do is we'll go ahead and test out 900p and see what we get. All right, so I have the resolution set to 900p. So as you can see here, still getting a solid 60 FPS plus. No lag, no issues with visual fidelity. Still looks good. This is actually my preferred resolution when I do play this game on this device. 1080p is great, but I feel like, in certain instances, boss fights and scenarios with, particles and debris falling from the levels, you may experience frame drops. So 900p to me is a sweet spot for this game. Looks really, really, really good. Again, no disappointment here. You won't be disappointed with the performance on this device, especially with Marvel Ultimate Spider-Man. Really, really good performance, colors popping out, all that good stuff. So, sweet spot with frame generation. You could do 1200p, of course, obviously. I definitely recommend 900. And next, what we'll do is we'll test out 800 progressive and see what kind of performance we get with 800p. All right, so we have 800p, and we're definitely getting higher FPS, so high 70s, going all the way to the 80s in certain instances. So yeah, 800p is definitely doable again, y'all. And here's the thing about this device, right? You have some devices where if you do have to scale down the resolution, things get a little ugly. With this device, even playing at 800 progressive, I don't know what kind of, technology MSI use visually, but it looks good. I know when I had the Lenovo Legion Go and I would have to scale down the resolution in many games, the resolution just ruined the whole experience. It didn't look good at 800p, but this device, 800p looks like 900p, and 900p looks like 1080p, if you understand what I'm saying. So even if you have to scale down the visual fidelity, it still looks good. Now with 800p, you'll definitely get 100 FPS in many instances. It may not drop below 70, but I'm just extremely, proud of MSI and Intel working together to make this game look good, make this game run well, as well as many others. So yeah, Spider-Man, Marvel Ultimate Spider-Man at 800p. You guys see it. You can look at the FPS counter. No disappointments here. So what we'll do is we'll jump to the final game, and we'll go ahead and check out Silent Hill and we'll move forward. All right, y'all. So as you can see, I have Silent Hill loaded up. So let's just take a look at my settings. All right. So currently, I have Silent Hill up and running, and let's look at the options. So we have the screen mode on full screen. We have the resolution set to 900, and then obviously you can see you have the frame cap set to unlimited. Ray tracing is off. VSync is off. Super sampling set to XeSS because that's what we want. And XeSS preset is set to balanced. Rendering quality preset set to low. So yeah, this was when it first came out, one of the harder games to run on handhelds. But since then, there's been major strides and improvements. So yeah, let's take a look at the frames per second and what we're getting at 900p. All right, so at 900p, to pay attention to the FPS counter in the top middle. So we're getting about 50 something frames per second. Now, occasionally it will dip below 50, you know, to 40 to 30, depending on certain scenarios, y'all. But I want y'all to keep this in mind that this game, you know, it has made a lot of improvements over time with patches from Konami and you know, different handheld manufacturers just improving, you know, their devices to a great degree in order to be able to run this game. So yeah, as you can see here, you know, I'm going against the enemy, getting about 68 frames per second. Like I said, you will experience some dips here and there, but nothing too major. So this is, again, 900p with super sampling set to XeSS. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and check out what kind of performance we get at 800p, which I feel like is going to be optimal for this game. But yes, there you have it, ladies and gents. Intel is really making great strides by keeping this device updated with the latest drivers. They're doing everything they can to improve XeSS frame generation on this device, as well as the smaller iteration of the device. So, I mean, we've got great things to look forward to in the future with this device. Like I said, it is my favorite out of all the handhelds right now. The Legion Go 2 is not out yet. Maybe soon, but to me, this is the absolute best. So Intel, if you do see this video, definitely I definitely would love to work with you all as far as like this device, the latest iteration, and any other products you have. Yes, to anyone out there who's watching this video, checking it out, you have second guesses, please don't have a second guess about this device. This is the #1 handheld out in the world right now. And I know I'm making a big, bold statement, but just off of the strength of Intel and their consistency with the constant driver updates and keeping this device afloat, they're listening to us. They're reading the Reddit comments, the developers. So please, if you do see this device available at your nearest retailer, in person or online, go ahead and get the MSI Claw 8 AI Plus. You will not be disappointed. 10 out of 10 device. Intel, keep it up. MSI, keep it up. You're making great strides to continue to keep this device #1. All right, y'all, I'm checking out. Again, please leave a like, share, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications so you get my latest videos. And again, once I reach 500 subscribers, as I stated in the beginning of this video, I will be doing a giveaway. This is Straight to the Point Tech. I'm out. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your weekend. Peace.